Thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michele Kane with Voice Matters, and my ever wonderful co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. Hey, Karen, here we are again, ready for a fun time.
Hi, Michelle. How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing well, doing well. We're all living the dream, right?
We are here in Michigan. We are enjoying a wonderful, she said, with sarcasm dripping, a wonderful return to winter.
Yes, as we record this, we're having a bit of a chill snap here in the Northeast as well. It's like, what? Come on now.
Yeah.
What's with the wind? What's with the chili? I have all my, my cute summer shoes are out, so knock it off.
I know.
Oh, well, what are you gonna do? But we're still living the dream, which brings us to our topic today. We want to talk about life as a solo versus life as corporate and just some differences we're noticing. And this is not to slag off on anyone in any role, no matter where you are, but it is interesting when you hop that fence and you experience things, a lot of things might become clearer. A lot of things might become less so. Let's just say. But you do find it interesting when you experience both worlds. And I mean, what it comes down to is whatever's right for you, right? But we have noticed some things as in our solo journey. And I know I love what you said when we were talking about this topic about how, we wonder why the government's so slow, and then sometimes we experience things in corporate America.
It's true. I can remember when I worked in corporate America being one of those business people that would say, the common thing like, why can't the government be more like business?
Yeah.
And it just seemed filled with delays and unnecessary steps, and it was so inefficient. And then as a solo, I now look at corporate America and go, oh my God, you guys are so inefficient. Why does everything have to take so long? Why are you making this so hard?
Yeah. 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 It is true. And I suppose there at the onset of all those things, there was good reason. I mean, certainly in government, things are slow, but we're finding these days there's sometimes good reason for that, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, I think just because of the sheer size of corporate America, I mean, I came up on that when I was in church comms. You know, members would say, "You need to run this like a business." It's like,
Yes.
but we're not. We're not. Yes, of course, we're responsible for our budgets and what we spend and what we spend it on, but we're about people. We're the ones to give you a hug. Your corporation's not going to give you a hug or, veer off, you know, or what we used to call hold the baby. Sometimes in the course of our days, no matter what our job was, something would come across our path and we'd have to deal with it. And that's just counter, you know, that that goes against, corporate America. You need to be a business. It's like, well, we have a budget. Isn't that good enough?
I think one of the beautiful things about being a solo is being in the position where, many of us, we still get to work with very large corporations.
Yes.
And you bring a different perspective, a different energy, because we don't have as many people that need to sign off or, be in the approval
Yes.
process. Our communications loop is a lot smaller and things are more streamlined for us. But we can, bring that to corporations and help them to move things along faster and help them um, to prioritize what's really important, and to help
Yeah.
them spot gaps or inefficiencies in their process too. But it also brings me to mind that it's all about perspective, right? Like sometimes we
Yes.
we can be a little dismissive of the job that others have to do, and we always feel like we can do it better. But it's a matter of the environment that you work in, what you're working with, the resources, and what the protocols are, because we can't get away from protocols no matter what job we're in, who we work for, or whom we don't work for. They do exist. And,
Yes.
it just is a good reminder to take a breath and be respectful of people and try to
Yeah.
understand, why they're doing the things that they do before you immediately jump to criticism.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it makes me appreciate them more because of what they have to go through to get somewhere. And you're right.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the larger the organization, the longer it takes to get everyone on the same page and to make sure we're all following the right plan. I mean, that can be a challenge as well. So sometimes that becomes part of our job. We turn into kind of air traffic controllers of no, wait, here's the runway. Come on, follow me. We're almost there. So close, so close. And it is interesting. And some days, yeah, I do close my laptop and think, whew, so glad I just have to answer to me most times.
I agree with you. And it confirms for me that, being a solo is exactly where I'm supposed to be today. It's,
Mhm.
there used to be those moments every now and then where I would be like, oh, I miss corporate America. Can I just go back there? Because that seemed simpler. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
many of you in the audience can relate to that, where you have those days where you
Oh, yeah.
think, I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to figure out all the things. I don't want to learn anything else. I just want to show up at a job, have them give me a check, and go home at
Yeah.
night. But it's never that simple, by the way.
No, it's not. I know. Oh, please. I have those thoughts too. It's like, oh, do I have to, like you say, do I have to be in charge
Yeah.
again? I don't want to. I don't feel like
Yeah.
making a decision today. And, but, and I guess that is, we all pay a price, right? No matter what our choices are, it comes with that. And you just roll with it. And, at the same time, from the other side of things, it kind of, like you say, the perspective it gives you, right? You have a new appreciation sometimes for the processes, but sometimes you realize, so sometimes this is what happens to me. I'll think, oh, they have all these buzzwords for things and these processes. That must mean that I'm not good at my job. Like, what is I don't have those things. I just do the thing. But then you realize you just have to do the thing. I mean, you can add all those layers and call it all those shiny names, but no, you don't really have to do that. And so sometimes it does head game you in a way. Um, I don't know. Maybe
Yes,
that's
it
just me.
does. Corporate America can make you feel like somehow you are, operating on a different planet, because they do. They have an awful lot of terms and processes and things that they do. And it can
Yes.
make your head spin, and you'll think, I don't have any of those things. And it can make you feel like a little tiny fish.
Yeah.
However, oftentimes you really are doing all of those things in a different way, in a more streamlined fashion, and you just don't have a big fancy name for it. And again, this is not to
Yeah.
bash our corporate brethren. It's just
No.
to encourage solos that, I don't think I've ever met someone who ran away because they hated their job, or because, they didn't run away. They made a decision that the next step for their career was being in charge, being in control. And it's
Yeah.
because they reached a point in their career where they felt confident enough that they really could offer their skills on the open market, and they wanted to be in control of all of those things. They wanted to do things in a different way. They wanted to control who they work with. They wanted to control the types of projects they did. They didn't want to do things just because it was on a job description. They really wanted to do the things that they were passionate about. So this is an encouragement that you really did make the right choice. And I don't want to say that we outgrow. It's just that we evolve and we
Yeah.
change in the things that we want from work and the way that we want
Yeah.
to work. And
Yeah.
running your own business is not easy. It is
No.
not for the faint of heart, but it is one of the most rewarding things that you can ever do.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And I agree. Certainly we're not saying we're not pitting one thing against the other for sure. Because hey, if an opportunity came along that was a good fit for me and I felt excited about it, of course course I'd go for it. But, that's just not where I am right now. And that doesn't feel like where I'm supposed to be right now. And I think that is the bottom line and the beauty of even being able to be a solo, that it's even possible
Yeah.
is, I know there's a lot of us who've been at this a long time, but it's still a fairly relatively recent
Yeah.
opportunity.
I,
Could we have done this in the 90s? Not nearly as easily. Absolutely not. Pre-internet? Nope.
I know
So,
it's really a beautiful thing. And it's with us having longer lifespans. What I think is so wonderful is that we can move in and out of being solo. So we really do have
yeah.
some control over our careers, and we can pivot as much as we want to. And we weren't able to do that as easily in days past. So I think that
No.
we are living in a pretty good time. There
Yeah.
are definitely some cracks in our work landscape, and there are things that still need to be improved. But in terms of being able to choose how you engage with a company, this is really a beautiful time to be working.
It's so true. And I love that you said pivot.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? I mean, we do that every day in our work and we can do it easily. Whereas if there are a lot of layers to your company, it's not as easy to do that. In fact, it's really difficult. And the
That's so
fact that
true.
we can do that, yeah, we can do that in our work and we can do that even in the course of how we do our work and how we construct our business. It is truly a pretty beautiful thing. Wow. We hope you've gotten something out of this little time together today. We hope you've been inspired and we hope you've nodded along, maybe giggled or thought of an experience of, oof, yeah. Tell us about it. Please tell us at soloprpro.com and please do share this around. And until next time, thanks for listening to That Solo Life.